I'm so glad you're here with us. It's going to be a fantastic 3 hours.
Oh, yes, it is. And I got to say, hats off to you, because as you mentioned, after getting emotionally and financially destroyed by the Super Bowl on Sunday, you came through and went absolutely beast mode and just worked a whole week of double days. So congrats to you. Hats off to you.
That's kind of you. I am taking next week off as a reward to myself.
Okay,
the only since I think August 5th, I think I've been off one day, Christmas Day.
No way.
I'm off next week. Chris Healy and other producers might try to reach out to me. Let me show you real quick. All blocked. All blocked on my phone, talking to no one. But these next 3 hours are going to be great. We got Kevin O'Connor in 30 minutes. In about 15 minutes, J.J. Watt is no longer a Houston Texan. And
yeah, that's big.
The discussion surrounding that too much is about the mayhem and with the Texans the last few months, as opposed to what was, and I was down there for it, the most dominant 4-year run any defensive player has ever had. We'll get into that in about 15 minutes. But, Alex, where we must start today is we are going to shortly get to something Colin Cowherd hates: fake trades. Colin always says, oh, back when I did local radio, the one thing I banned was calls about fake trades. They were all nonsense. Nobody understood anything. Well, I have created what I consider a fake trade masterpiece that we're going to unveil in about 3 minutes. But before we do that, how we got here surrounding Russell Wilson. There were quiet rumblings about Russell Wilson's, how nonplussed he was, let's call it that, with the Seahawks offensive approach, with the lack of resources dedicated to his offensive line, which since he came into the league, they have spent the least amount of dollars on offensive linemen. Since he came into the league, they have not drafted and signed to a second contract a single offensive lineman. You heard that right. Since Russell Wilson came into the league, there's not a single Seahawks lineman that they drafted that they kept beyond his rookie deal, but they were just quiet rumblings. Brandon Marshall on First Things First said a few things, and we were listening, but there was so much other quarterback potential movement and it seemed so incredibly difficult to imagine Russell Wilson anywhere other than Seattle that it wasn't really a story until Monday, when Russell Wilson went on with Dan Patrick and said, yeah, I want to be involved with decision-making. No, I'm not involved with decision-making. Said, yeah, I'm sure teams are calling for me, but that's out of my hands. Then did a media conference call and said, yeah, I get hit too much. Nobody likes to get hit, and I get hit too much. And he's not wrong, by the way. No quarterback in NFL history has been sacked more times over the first 9 seasons than Russ. And then we heard Dan Patrick, to his credit, report that he was hearing that the Seahawks weren't pleased with Russell going public with this stuff. But more so than what we heard, the story to me, as we sit here on Friday, is what we haven't heard. We have not heard John Schneider or Pete Carroll give a friendly interview to a local radio station, come on a show like this one, hell, release a statement to the team website that says, let's put all this to bed. Russell Wilson is our quarterback, has always been our quarterback, and if it's up to us, will be our quarterback until the day he retires. That statement has not been made. Hell, today, Cal McNair, the owner of the Texans, was asked about Deshaun in the J.J. Watt press avails. And he said, listen, we expect Deshaun to be here. We want Deshaun to be here, even though Deshaun is doing everything he possibly can to get out of town. The fact that Seattle has not come out and said, let's try our best, not that it would totally put it to bed, but let's try our best to put this Russell Wilson stuff to bed, tells me there is at least a little fire to this smoke. And so I put on my fake GM hat and I said, how can we make a trade work? How can you possibly get fair value for Russell Wilson? Similar situation, how could you possibly get fair value for Deshaun Watson? Well, what if they both could be involved in the trade? You can't trade them for each other because They both have no trade clauses, and there's no way Russ would want to go down to that what's going on in Houston. And if the Seahawks don't fully appreciate Russ, they wouldn't fully appreciate Deshaun. You would almost have to say, okay, so the Seahawks want to be a defense run-oriented team, so the return would have to be a defensive package, but still with a quarterback. And then we're like, what other teams possibly could be involved? What other teams do we know have assets and needs? And I came up with, dare I say, a 4-team fake trade masterpiece. Unveil it to America, please. I challenge you to find the flaw. The Houston Texans get Sam Darnold, 3 first-round picks, and a high 2nd-round pick. I'll go through all the details in a moment. The New York Jets receive Russell Wilson. Sierra, after living in the Pacific Northwest, gets to live in the media capital of the world, New York City. Russ gets Mekhi Becton, great left tackle, bunch of cap space, Quinnen Williams, and all of a sudden free agent destination if Russell Wilson's there. The Seahawks get Jimmy Garoppolo, Nicky Bosa, and 2 first-round picks, and the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, finally has the perfect quarterback to run his system. So let's go team by team. How does it work? And again, I understand right now your mind is blown. You're texting friends. Are you watching The Herd? That dude that fills in for Colin sometimes, he's on. He just came up with the greatest trade ever. I know. So I'll give you a moment to let it sink in, and now we'll go through. The Seahawks, they lose Russell Wilson. What they get back is Jimmy Garoppolo and his very affordable contract. Nicky Bosa, the all-pro caliber pass rusher, the 23rd overall pick of this year's draft, and the Niners' first rounder next year. So you're losing Russ. But what you are getting is 2 first-round picks, Nicky Bosa, who if he were just traded straight up, probably gets you 2 first-round picks, and a quarterback who's going to have no problem running Pete Carroll's run offense, play action, run. You know why? He played a damn playoff game where he threw 8 passes. Jimmy G just happy to be there. Pete Carroll can go back to his roots. Defense. So you trade away Russ. You get Nicky Bosa, who's worth 2 1s, an actual 1, and a future 1, plus a quarterback to boot. Give me the next team. The Niners. It seems like they're giving up a lot. They're giving away Jimmy Garoppolo, the best player on their team, Nicky Bosa, their first-round pick this year, which is 12th overall, and their first-round pick next year. So essentially the equivalent, I believe, of 4 first-round picks, including the 12th overall, because Bosa's worth 2, and Jimmy Garoppolo. Why would they give that much away? Because they're getting a 25-year-old superstar quarterback under contract, under a super reasonable contract. And by the way, some of that cap space that you've allocated to the Nicky Bosa extension, don't have to worry about that anymore. Are the Niners paying a lot? Absolutely. Would they become the favorites in the NFC with this trade, with Deshaun Watson, the Kyle Shanahan offense? No doubt about it. All right, so the Niners are in. Who's the next thing we need to see? Houston. All right, so Houston. Deshaun wants to leave. The only way you can sell it to the 38 fans you have left at this point is if you're going to have a quarterback step in his place. That quarterback's not actually Sam Darnold, but just more on that in a moment. So you lose Deshaun Watson. You get the 2nd pick of the draft from the Jets. Oh, wait. Hi, Justin Fields. How do you like the Sugar Land area? It's where I lived. It's pretty good. Get a lot of house for a little bit of money. You get the 12th overall pick. Do whatever you want with that. Flip it for other picks. Do what you want. 34th overall pick. That's damn near a first rounder. The Jets' first round pick next year and Sam Darnold. Why Sam Darnold there? Well, if Justin Fields isn't ready, Darnold can start. Or Nick Caserio, you want to wheel and deal like a former Houston GM Daryl Morey would. You bring in Sam Darnold. He never plays a snap for you. You bring him in as an asset. You figure out what's what. He looks good in preseason. Someone gets hurt. All of a sudden, you trade Sam Darnold. Maybe you get another 2nd round pick for him. So you're losing Deshaun. What you are getting is the 2nd pick of the draft, so Justin Fields, another blue chip player in the 12th overall pick, the 34th pick of the draft, the Jets' first rounder next year, and a quarterback who just a few years ago was the 3rd overall pick. All right, so now one last team, the Jets. We know what the Jets are getting. Mr. Unlimited himself, one of the 3 best players in the entire league. So what are they trading away? Darnold, no problem. 2nd overall pick, okay. 23rd overall pick, don't love it, but no problem. 34th overall pick, and next year's first round pick. All of a sudden, We've talked about them trading for Deshaun. You're trading for Russ, who some would say is better than Deshaun. It's close. And your pick allotment doesn't bleed into 2023. You have all your own picks after next year's draft. Yeah, you don't have, you had 3 picks in the top 34 this year. Now you have none, and you don't have a first rounder next year. But what you have is Russell bleeping Wilson. And guess what? New York City plus Russell Wilson plus $90 million in cap space, all of a sudden, free agent destination. All of a sudden, if folks are like, well, I want to go play in New York, I could play with the Giants and Daniel Jones, or the Jets and Russell Wilson in a super winnable